right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. Bob Pompeani with you at 412-575-2600. It's the number to call if you want to get in touch with us. I'm here. Andrew Fillipponi is there, which is 93.7 The Fan. And Pony, tonight we had another debut of college football rankings. And I find this very interesting because Miami is ranked number 12. They move up, and they're the highest ranked team in the ACC. Pitt's up to number 22. But it makes me wonder just what's going to happen with the ACC when it comes to the college football playoff, because right now, other than Miami, there's no other team in it. Tulane has the last spot. So what do you think happens, based on what happens this weekend? Pitt, big game with Miami, and then Virginia and SMU. If they win, they'll meet in that conference championship game.
I do think there's the potential for the ACC to get two teams, depending on what happens over the last week of the season and the conference championship games. Miami, I think, has to make a statement here against Pitt, against a ranked team, come up to Pittsburgh and blow them out, and then they probably still won't play in the ACC championship game, but they'll have a 10-2 record in a win against Notre Dame. And Notre Dame doesn't have a conference championship game either to fall back on for an extra data point because they're still independent. So when you've got 10-2 Miami versus 10-2 Notre Dame, right now they've got Notre Dame ranked ahead of Miami. And I don't think they'll change that, but I also don't think they want the controversy of taking Notre Dame and excluding Miami. So I think both teams would get in that scenario. And I think the ACC champion will get in, whether that's Virginia or SMU, although, I don't rule out Virginia losing to Virginia Tech on Saturday. That's a rivalry game, and I'm not sure Virginia is really that good to begin with. So there could be some chaotic happenings here in the ACC, and if Virginia could get upset, then that would open the door for Pitt to get in, but I do think Pitt is going to have a hard time with Miami this Saturday, Bob.
Yeah, I do too. They've been playing well of late. It's interesting. Of those two games, I was thinking about it today. I tend to agree with you that even though Virginia Tech is not very good, that's a rivalry game. Cal just fired their coach, and there's always you never know what will happen. We saw with UCLA when they did it. Penn State went out there and they got waxed. Even Terry Smith was pretty good. Almost, in his first game had an opportunity there. So what do you think that effect will have on that game?
It's a good question. Cal's got a pretty good quarterback, so that gives them a chance. SMU, for the most part, over their 2 years here in the ACC, they've been great. They went undefeated in the regular season of the ACC last year, and that's how they got themselves into the college football playoffs. So that coach, I think, just got a contract extension, Lashley, at SMU. He's found a way to put good talent out there, and they're in a win-in scenario. So I would expect them to win that game, but you're right about the fired coach effect. It can go one of two ways. And, sometimes you don't know when you go to the West Coast. Not that Texas is a million miles away from Northern California, but weird things can happen when you ask college kids to do that. So that could be, but if I had to pick one, I would say there's a better chance Va-Tech beats Virginia than SMU loses to Cal.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. Mike Tomlin had his press conference today. You saw it here on KDKA+. And I came away thinking, he used the word hopefully and anticipate after the press conference, after the game the other day about Aaron Rodgers. And today it was almost the same thing, like we expect, hopefully, we'll see how the week goes. I don't know if he's going to play on Sunday, and I thought I might have a little bit more clarity on that today.
Well, he at one point said we're going to proceed with caution. That doesn't exactly make me feel like it's a slam dunk Aaron Rodgers plays. I still think that it's totally up in the air. Mike talks out of both sides of his mouth with this, though. He says things like a veteran quarterback doesn't need a lot of practice time to play, but then when Aaron Rodgers doesn't play, like the Bears game, for example, he cites the lack of practice reps that he got. So which one is it? I still don't know. I think the line tells you that there's some anticipation that it could go either way. I think if the Steelers were expecting Aaron Rodgers to play, the line would be closer to 3, under 3. And I think if Mason Rudolph plays, the line will be closer to 7. So that's why I think it's smack dab in the middle at 4, because it could go either way right now. And despite what Mike Tomlin said right after the game, which made people think Aaron Rodgers was definitely going to play against the Bills, I don't feel that way right now, Bob. I think it's totally up in the air.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's going to come right down to it, just like we found out last week on Saturday. It's a big game nonetheless. You'll see it on KDKA 425, and this one involves two teams that really need tiebreakers in the AFC, so a lot on the line. And we're going to find out Thursday what happens with the Bengals and the Ravens. Joe Burrow expected to play, but the Ravens, second straight home game, and they have another one coming up against the Steelers after that. So a lot will be decided in the next couple of weeks. We'll take a break, come back with your phone calls at 412-575-2600. Hit us up on Twitter or X. It's at Katie Pomp, at the Pony Express. You're watching the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, KDKA Plus, and on the radio, it's 93.7 The Fan. All right, welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Spot Track. And how about Paul Skeens? You know, he only made, and I say only, in baseball terms, it's not a lot, $875,000. But today he got the largest pre-arbitration bonus, which is a system designed to help those who don't have the kind of, ability to make arbitration money. $3.4 million with his Cy Young bonus, $2.5 million, total of $6.8 million, which is much better than, again, just $875 a year. And he's only 23. He goes through this process again, Andrew, next year, and then after that, it's 3 years of arbitration, and that's what's going to make everything crazy. Because when I don't know what it looks like optic-wise. Now we're talking about when he finally gets to a regular arbitration process, but I got to believe that number is going to be in the 30 million range. Do you think it's lower or higher than that?
I think it might be a little bit lower, but I mean it all depends on what happens with the CBA negotiation that's coming up that might put baseball out of commission for a long time. I have a question about those Cy Young bonuses and stuff. Who pays that? The Pirates?
I think the Pirates pay the Cy Young bonus, but I think the pre-arb is a system set up collectively by the owners and the players.
Where's that go? So who pays that?
I think
Major League Baseball?
I think they contribute to a fund, something of that nature.
Oh,
I'm not sure because
okay.
there are a lot of guys. I think 101 guys got extra pre-arb money, so it must come from a central fund. But it's pretty good.
Right.
That's the biggest bonus that ever was given, and why not? He was a unanimous winner of the Cy Young.
While Travis Williams was at it again, talking about we screwed up last offseason and now it's time for us to be aggressive, and we need to go out and get big hitters. All right, I mean, they keep talking a big game, and if they don't talk it, then it gets reported that way by national baseball insiders that this is going to be unlike any Pirates offseason we've ever seen before under Bob Nutting. I hope it's not just talk, because with the way they've talked, at least now publicly from Williams, if they don't do things now, it's going to look even worse. And fans are already fed up. Fans are already very, very frustrated, angry at the organization, extremely upset, and this is only going to make it worse if they somehow squander another offseason with Paul Skeens pre-arbitration. So I'm not going to come down on them hard yet, Bob, because very few teams have made deals. But if a month from now the Pirates have still done nothing, I'm going to be livid is probably the word I would throw around.
Well, they signed Jack Sawinski. What do you want? I mean, come on. That was more just a procedural thing, I think. But the thing about this is you're right. They have to show it. And normally what happens is you go to bargain basement hunting in February where somebody's looking for a job and nobody else is offering, you get them. We have a tweet or X here. It's from Jim, I think it's Bowman. But he said, what happened with the story about the offer from, I guess he's talking about Josh Naylor, and the fact that Ken Rosenthal has said there was never an offer. I saw that and I wondered about that because Jeff Passan made his report, and now all of a sudden comes Ken Rosenthal who said they never made an offer. So what do we believe there?
Well, there's another side of it that says they had the offer ready to go, but Seattle and Naylor came to an agreement right before they could send the offer in. So they had it, Bob, but they didn't have time. I mean, choose between
what's behind door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3. Which of these do you believe?
Yeah.
I'm not going to believe anything until I actually see something happen. And then once that happens, then you can make a comment one way or the other. All right, we have another tweet here, and I'm going to get into this one because he said, I put out a tweet that said congrats to Pat Narduzzi because he was a Bear Bryant Coach of the Week winner after a big upset at Georgia Tech. Even though there were moments of that, I'm wondering what the heck was going on there. And this tweeter says, what do you think will happen when he gets blown up by Miami? Well, first of all, I would say to that, don't be surprised if they play a really good game and somehow win the game. I think they showed a lot last week at Georgia Tech, which had won 10 straight home games, and they had everything to play for, and Pitt took it right away from them. So give the guy credit when there's credit here. They're still a pretty good football team. In fact, they're in the hunt for the conference championship.
Hey, they lost to West Virginia, which is obviously, looking back on it, an embarrassing loss and an unacceptable loss. And so that waters down the success they've had this year to some degree. But I think every Pitt fan I know would have signed up for 8-4 before the season started. Given the way that last year's second half of the season went, there was not a ton of optimism going into this year. And then maybe you sprinkle on top of that Desmond Reed, who you thought was going to be your best player this season, has been in and out of the lineup. So I think all things considered, this is a pretty good year that we're going into Week 12 and they can still make the ACC championship game in the college football playoff. And it'll put a damper on it if they lose to Miami, but I don't think it'll ruin the whole thing. They have Mason Heinchel as their quarterback. Now, we had Danny Cannell on our show today from CBS Sports, the former Florida State quarterback, and he said Pitt fans should be nervous about Heinchel's future with the team, that a team with deeper pockets is going to come this offseason and not only poach him, but maybe make it a package deal and give Cade Bell a big contract to be a offensive coordinator at a Big Ten or SEC school, and Heinchel goes with him. And that stinks, but that is the reality of college football in 2025, Bob. And, they got Cade Bell and Desmond Reed as a package deal. They went and took from an FCS school. So if they can take from the FCS, then obviously the SEC and whatnot are going to take from Pitt.
No question about that. And they may even look at the freshman running back, the true freshman Turner, who was like unbelievably
I like
fast.
him a lot.
I do too, but this poach part of the season will be upcoming. Let's go out to the phone lines, 412-575-2600. We have John in Cranberry. Hello, John. How are you?
Hey, Bob and Andrew. Happy Thanksgiving to both of you and
too.
your families.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking my call. Bob, by the way, I want to do a quick shout out. I got to watch the Peters Township Pine Richland game.
Great game.
You did a fantastic job. You and Mike White. Mike White is a national local sports treasure.
He's unbelievable. He has a recall on all these games
unreal.
going back. And he even said at that game, I don't know if you saw it, Andrew, but it was 19-0 Pine Richland at halftime. Peters Township didn't have much of anything. They came back and won that game in dramatic fashion, and we thought it might be one of the best games ever. And Mike confirmed that, and he's seen a lot more than I have. I've seen my share, but that was a tremendous game. But thank you for that, and I'll pass it along to Mike.
Yeah, thank you. So I wanted to get your takes on the Miami game. I think it is going to be a tough one, but I think Mason gives them a chance. But I want to get your take. But the only curious thing I wanted to talk to you guys about that happened on Saturday night, there was a part in the game where the Panthers were 4th and 9 at their own 37. There were 7 minutes left, and they had a 14-point lead, and they faked a punt. And I wanted to get your and Andrew's take on that. I've never seen anything like that with a two-touchdown lead, that late in the game. So that one was real curious. But I do give them credit that they won the game, even though Tech made that a one-score game after that play. So I just want to get your feedback on that and also how they're going to do against Miami. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Appreciate that. Well, I thought that, in fact, after the game, it was Pat Narduzzi himself who called himself, I think, a jackass, something like that. So, I mean, I wondered I was thinking, what are we doing here? And thankfully, that 100-yard, pick six turned everything around the other way.
It did. I don't understand why you do that when it's 4th and 9. If it was 4th and 3, even up 2 touchdowns, if you thought you had a look that you liked, you do it. But 9 yards is a lot to run for. So I hated that call, and Narduzzi, like you said, confirmed that after the game. That was a major blunder on their part that they got away with. Miami is just so talented, and they don't always show it. Carson Beck is an erratic quarterback. I don't see him being a big-time NFL draft pick now because of the type of season he had, but he can play at a high level. The freshman wide receiver there is unbelievably good and isn't eligible for the draft because he's still too young, but he's going to be a top 10 pick in a couple of years. And Bain, their big edge rusher, is going to be a top 5 pick. And Pitt's had all kinds of offensive line injuries and had to reshuffle the deck on that offensive line throughout the year. So if Miami gets off the bus and is determined to play and wants to play, then I think the game can look like the Notre Dame game. It's just a matter of where Miami's focus is going to be for this game, Bob.
Another tweet from Ryan Zedek. This time he says, what's the point of the Steelers signing Marquez Valdez-Scantling if they're never going to play him amid a thin wide receiver roster? I think that's a good question. I would even put it to the other side of the field with Asante Samuel. They brought him in. A lot of teams are after him. At some point, they're going to have to play, and given the wide receivers, Andrew, with only 10 catches collectively in that game last week, they're not being targeted very much. They're not being utilized very much. Something's got to change there, and they need a spark.
Well, I'll tell you what, this DK Metcalf hip injury that Mike Tomlin talked about, they better hope that that's not something that keeps him out for Sunday's game. Because if it does, then you're super depleted at wide receiver, and I don't see a way where you don't activate or dress MVS for the game. If Rodgers plays, he should be out there because of the chemistry and rapport those two guys have. As far as Samuel goes, I did get the impression from Tomlin today when he talked about him that if there's an injury, if Porter can't play, that Samuel would also get an opportunity. I think it sounded from Tomlin like Samuel might be closer to getting activated than MVS. And I don't know why MVS would come here as a guy that's an older player, Bob, and just hang out on their practice squad. That confuses me. This can't be what he thought he was signing up for when he decided to join the team a few weeks ago.
Or maybe there were not any other offers that he got. I'm not sure how that worked, but I know this. They need schematically to be a lot better than they were on both sides of the ball this coming Sunday. We have Bill and Simon on the line. We'll try to get your calls next right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We're live, KDKA Plus and 93.7 The Fan. All right, before we go, it's our number one Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night. Before we go, Simon says what in Newcastle? Go ahead, Simon.
Hey, good evening, guys. I got a two-part question for you.
Make it quick,
I watch
please.
your show every night. Why is it when we have Tomlin Tuesday interviews, it seems like the questioners, the sportscasters or the news reporters who are asking questions, never ask him about, as an example, about the tush-push play where it clearly showed on TV that they made the fourth
Simon,
down.
I hate to cut you off there, but we're running out of time. But I did speak to him on his TV show about that coming up, and they could have thrown a challenge flag. Replay assist needs to come in. They can do it if they want. I thought that was a botch call all the way through, but if they don't throw a challenge flag, then likely it wasn't going to go in.
Wait, did he tell you why he didn't throw the challenge flag, Bob? What was the reasoning there?
I wish we had more time, but we have 5 seconds left, so I can't get into it. But you have to watch Sunday or Saturday night, 11:30.
Man.
Sorry about that. It's a big tease. Coming up. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it. Have a good night, and happy Thanksgiving to you and the family. Good night, everyone.